I got the chance to watch the movie. I absolutely loved it. Um, the biggest takeaway is you just look like you were having so much fun in this role. And I was wondering, were you given a lot of direction on how to perform, or did Sean give you the freedom to just kind of unleash your inner villain here?
Uh, it was, I would say, a marriage of both. I think the read I got off the page with this character invited a performance that was going to be kind of larger than life, and very colorful. And I think from the outset, Sean knows that's what he kind of wants from it. But yeah, and within that, he kind of gave me he inspired the courage to just kind of go for it and let rip. And so, yeah, I think, I feel like what you're talking about is a combination of that. And I certainly did have a lot of fun. I think, um, that's what you want with a film like this. You want audiences to be jumping out of their seats and squeezing the knee of their partner next to them, and then at the same time, having a laugh and feeling like they're conflicted because this dude who's capable of all these kind of atrocious things is actually somehow fun to be around. At
Right.
least even if you're waiting for the next worst thing to happen. And that's my job with it. I'm no stranger to playing someone with some questionable intentions. But I
Right.
always set out to not judge that character and somehow feel like we can have a bit of a good time with a bad guy.
So my favorite scene, I think, is probably one of the parts you look like you're having the most fun. It was the dance. You're like chugging wine and just dancing on the boat. Was this dance heavily choreographed, or were you just kind of making it up on the fly?
It was heavily unchoreographed. It was actually just something that Sean had told me about that he wanted to capture, and I was pretty nervous. It's not like definitely stepping outside of my comfort zone a little bit with it, but he wanted it to feel like this rap party that Tucker was having for one of his kind of films, that he makes,
Mhm.
and he just wanted it to feel loose. And I was like, okay, all right, is it going to be the kind of thing that we like doing all night? Like, and it's getting there because I feel like once we find something, the more you chase it, it will deteriorate. And Sean was like, not at all. I just want you to get in there with Shelley. Whatever happens, happens. And I think we surprised ourselves a little bit. I just like had to get in that headspace. I made sure they scheduled it for the end of the night. Might have had a little sip of whiskey in my trailer before I went to
Right.
just step over the gap a bit. And then I don't know, that's two takes of just me and Shelley in the space going completely freestyle. And I was gassed. I remember like sitting in
Right.
the chair at the end of the dance to make the fly that he's doing on the rig and just being like, I mustn't have been breathing this whole time. But yeah, it's a
Well,
it's a fun little intermission.
yeah, it was very entertaining to watch. Last question. You already mentioned that you kind of have played characters that are morally ambiguous a little bit. I did see some similarities between Tucker and Captain Boomerang, which is where I think most American audiences would probably most recognize you. Did you see any similarities between the characters, or did you consider them similar whatsoever?
Not really. I mean, I think the low hanging fruit there is that they're both kind of Aussies, and they've both got the same face. Um,
Right.
but it's not, But look, I think having fun with a character that has a kind of laconic. There's some Australian, you know, cultural things that I'm like working with, I suppose, in both of those realms, but they don't really have anything to do with each other. I think it's
Right.
just that it might feel a little familiar, and that's fine. I mean, Boomerang was one of the most fun characters I think I've been able to play, and Tucker weirdly in the same way. I mean, there's a little more to explore with Tucker. I feel like
Mhm.
the backstory that we get to touch on and his vulnerability with, some childhood trauma, some abandonment stuff, gave him a little more meat on the bone. And so that was fun. I think he weirdly was familiar to me coming in. I wanted him to feel like this guy that you've spent too long on a taxi ride with and won't shut up, or the dude in the pub that's
Right.
got all the political expertise and can't wait to tell you about it. There's this sort of cringe quality to him that I found like really interesting. And usually at the center of that, someone that you kind of can't deal with, there's always like a lost child in there. And I
Right.
feel like that desire to be accepted, but also like the failure to be able to like really inject themselves into society is a really common thing. And so hopefully I was able to access the human in there as well. And I hope people, get to pull from that.